stay and defend or leave early during times of bushfire? This is a question Australians are asking themselves more and more as climate change kicks in and starts to have a recognizable impact on our communities. This article is a result of many years dealing with sectors of community complacency. Our goal through a series of articles is to provide relevant information to educate communities on how to make informed decisions. It seems so easy to blame others for such complacency, but in reality it's probably a failure of senior firefighters, like myself, who haven't adequately introduced programs that increase community awareness over the last couple of decades. Now, during retirement, I have the opportunity to pass on knowledge from my observations, failures and subsequent learnings. The principles of emergency management. In this series of articles I will cover the required preparedness, response and recovery outcomes designed to help property owners keep safe during times of bushfire. It is probably quite obvious to most that there are no guarantees when it comes to bushfire. Even so, during this series of articles we will look at things property owners can do to stay informed, even when the power has been cut and communication with the outside world is difficult to maintain. In 2013 my volunteer firefighter brother was caught in a bushfire and almost lost his life trying to save a colleague. Luckily, he survived to tell the story of what actually happened. There will be a number of references to this situation and others throughout this article. What happens as a bushfire approaches? Moving on, let's first look at what happens as a bushfire approaches your property. It must be said that there are so many variables. Many will be discussed below, but let's take a general overview of what is likely to happen by firstly setting the scene. Say you live on the edge of a state forest. It's a lovely location, and then there is a gap of around 60 to 70 meters between the forest and your home. You have planted a number of shrubs and small trees, but aren't familiar with fire-resistant species. The topography in the area is undulating but generally quite flat with a few small hills in the distance. Being very proud of your home, you keep the grass quite short and the leaf litter under the shrubs and trees to a minimum. The house was built in the 90s, and even though you are located in an area designated as a bushfire management zone overlay, there has been little to no information provided by the fire authorities. Even though the forest surrounds your home, you have been told to expect a fire to approach from the north, as bad fire danger days tend to have strong dry winds blowing from a northerly direction. It's a hot day, around 40 degrees Celsius in late January, when fires are likely to be at their most severe. The wind is strong but seems to be no greater than around 30 kilometers per hour in strength. It has been declared a day of total fire ban by the authorities, and the fire danger rating is severe. The bushfire, here it comes. You have an emergency app on your phone, and at around midday it goes off and indicated a fire has started to the north of your property, but is still 20 to 30 kilometers away. With some concern you check the fire pump and get the family together to review the fire plan. It's now 1300 hours, and an update comes through on the emergency app indicating a watch and act warning for your area. You again start the pump and check that it operates okay. Thoughts turn to comments made by the local fire brigade captain at a community meeting a few years ago. Your house is located down a one-way in and one-way out track, so we won't send fire trucks down there to protect your house on bad fire danger days. It's just too dangerous for firefighters. So please be prepared to evacuate or stay and defend. As a family, you decided to stay and defend, as the fire danger rating, FDR, is only severe, not extreme or code red, which would cause conditions that may not be defendable. All of a sudden you receive a text message from the authorities, which indicates that the approaching fire is only 15 kilometers away. There is an emergency warning transmitted with this message. Doing the right thing, you start to patrol your property and notice black sooty ash start falling from the sky. It doesn't seem to be a light, so there seems to be little need to worry. The warning message are coming through. You notice your neighbors are evacuating in a westerly direction, but still it should be okay to stay and defend, shouldn't it? There is now hot embers falling from the sky, but they don't seem to be starting any fire, so the pump is started and the area around the house wet down. Smoke has started to cover the property and you indicate to your family to remain inside. It's at this point you become a little scared of the unknown. Your adrenaline surges and your heart starts racing. Another message comes through from the authorities which suggests it's too late to leave and your property is likely to be impacted. Smoke is building and visibility is becoming poor. Some ash goes in your eye, but you flush it out, and it now seems okay. The fear is overwhelming. All of a sudden the wind increases and the sound of the bush seems to be roaring. To your right you notice a small fire which was quickly extinguished. Anxiety levels increase substantially and you are having trouble breathing. Visibility is now only 50 to 60 meters, and the sound of the bush is like a freight train coming. There are now numerous spot fires starting which are controlled rapidly. Then you see it. A fireball is about 40 to 50 meters into the bush. The embers have increased and are hitting and burning into your face, which is the only exposed skin. You can't breathe and the heat is out of this world. The embers are constantly stinging your face. Making it back to the house you drop to your knees and wonder if this is it. Your thoughts turn to your family and make you somehow stronger. You struggle to put out a few spot fires, and the petrol motor on the fire pump is so hot, including the air around it, that the petrol evaporates and the engine stops. You then make it inside to stay until the fire passes. The feeling of terror is overwhelming and the entire family is sobbing. 5 or 10 minutes go by and you look out the window. Somehow, a fire brigade tanker has made it to your location and is putting out fires which have started around the house. Today was meant to only be severe. But we survived. Preparing for fire. This story may be similar to many who have stayed and defended during a bushfire. There is a need to recognize that we may never know the experience of some because they perished while staying and defending. In the next article in this series we will look at some of the design and legislative requirements that may help you survive if you decide to stay and defend.